and welcome back to Chatting with Chaz. I am so excited about this episode, sitting here with your friends, my friends, these ladies that I love and follow, and I know a lot of you do too. We're going to dive into all things influencing, into lifestyle, into content creation. I think this is going to be really fun.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. It's just basically going to be coffee with the girls.
Yes.
So we're going to dive in. I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you in a beautiful way. And then you can follow along. Please share your Instagram as well. And then we're going to dive into all the questions that you have and I have.
Yay.
Liz, let's start with you.
Awesome. My name is Liz Weber, and I am a mom to two girls. My husband and I are high school sweethearts. We both full-time content creators.
Did not know that.
Yeah, fun little fact. Grown up together and now in the business too, which is fun. And yeah, mostly my content is going to be a lot of lifestyle, just day in the life type of stuff with motherhood, but then also a little bit of fashion, a little bit more casual fashion, because that's just the world I'm in right now. I'm 4 months postpartum, so sweat sets are what I'm.
Sweat sets are the
I
move.
can find you the best sweat set that you're gonna live in,
Which is super important.
It is.
We're
We're on phases. And
Yes,
that's my phase that I'm
that's
in
your
right now.
phase.
Yes. Race it.
Well, you look beautiful postpartum.
Thank you.
Glowing,
Thank you,
healthy,
thank you.
amazing. How?
Thank
We'll
you.
have to hear about that too.
Yeah.
I think you dabble in wellness a little bit too.
Yes,
from
a
what
little
I
bit
understand.
on this as well. Yeah, I feel like my content has changed throughout the years depending on the phase of life that I'm in. And right now we're getting back into wellness. So
I
there's
love
a little
that.
bit of that too.
We're sprinkling it in.
Yeah, we're sprinkling it in.
Sprinkling it in.
Yeah.
It's always good.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Thank you, Liz. Anna.
My name is Anna Page. I am on Instagram, TikTok, my website, Pinterest occasionally. And my handle is at Anna W. Page. And I cover home content, which is fairly new in the last few years. And I dabble in fashion as well.
You dabble in fashion.
I
think you
dabble.
are fashion.
Yeah, right? So literally, she's a fashion icon for the last, however many years, 10 years I've known her.
I started with fashion and then kind of went into home. So now it's both. Will always be both.
I started with home. And
Yeah,
it's
right.
I'm so good at so many things. How do you do it?
Oh no.
You do it really well. And I
Thank
always
you.
say to you, I feel like Anna could be, if she didn't want to do this, an interior designer. I think you have such a great eye for design.
Thank you.
You're so talented.
Thank you.
And I think Anna was ahead of the curve of this like traditional kind of, what's the era everyone's calling it? I know it has
People are
different
now
names.
calling it traditional because
Trend.
it's like trendy to be traditional, which is so crazy.
Okay, that is breaking news.
Yeah, traditional. I know, isn't that funny?
It's kind of
Trend. What is it?
Traditional.
I love it.
Traditional.
I'll be using it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Anna's been a friend for a long time. We'll go back in just a moment and talk about how we met and how you have transformed as well. And then her sister, yes, they're sisters, Laura Godfrey.
Always a
That's so
surprise
amazing.
to everyone, which is so funny. Yeah, I'm Laura Godfrey, Anna's sister. I have 4 girls, so age ranging from 12 all the way down to 3. So we have lots of very interesting things happening in our home all the time.
Chill.
My husband, we have been together since we were 14 and 15. So very similar to you guys. We grew up together.
Yeah.
Our dads were actually on staff at the same church. And so we truly grew up together. Still love him as much today as I did. Actually, probably more today than I did when I first met him. He's amazing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, he actually is a State Farm agent. He owns his own agency. So he, unlike these amazing women, he does not work with me. I kind of just am a one-woman show, but it's fine. So yeah, I do mostly fashion, a little bit of mom stuff thrown in there when I can, a little bit of home when I can. But it just kind of depends on the week and what I have time for because
Yes.
I got 4 kids.
You got 4 kids. You're doing it all too.
Exactly.
All the hats.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's a good question to kind of start with as young moms, influencers, how do you balance the kids, the marriage? You all have successful marriages, which is such a win, such a beautiful thing. And you're all raising young kids. Like, how do you fit it in being an influencer? Because it's a job.
Yeah.
No one thinks it's a job. This
Yeah.
is a legit
Oh no, for
job.
sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll start off since I was already talking. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Thank you for it.
I heard this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I
You can learn a lot, actually.
I got this really good piece of advice when my first was pretty young. So I was still kind of like, getting my sea legs as far as being a mom. And somebody told me that every day in motherhood, especially, you think about a jar that is filled with rocks. And they said, put your big rocks in first. So you put the biggest ones in first. And then if you have your big ones in there, then you can put all these little ones in and they fit all around. But if you put all the little ones in first, you don't have room for the big stuff. And so the way that kind of has translated into motherhood for me is I try to make sure that I'm intentional, that I'm prioritizing time with them, that I'm making sure that if I'm not like working on my phone, then I'm not on my phone. If I am working on my phone, I try to do it when they're at school so that when they come home, I can be like, switch that part in my brain where I go into mom mode.
Yes.
And, it's a little different because I have my 3-year-old with me almost all the time. So I'm trying to figure out, how to do things while she's napping and all of that. But I think if you can think about putting your big rocks in first, then all the other little stuff can kind of fill in around it. So
way to look at it.
keep your priorities in order. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't work the other way around.
Yes.
So that's always helped me a lot, just to keep
Yeah.
things in perspective.
Keeping it in perspective. You shared something while we were just chatting upstairs. I love what you shared about perspective. Share that, because I just think that's a little nugget from a girlfriend.
Yeah.
You're talking about your perspective.
Yeah. So I just read this book from Mark Batterson. It's called A Million Little Miracles, and it is just the best. If you haven't read it, it's so good. But he was talking about perspective shifts, and he said that your problem could be someone else's miracle. So like we were talking about walking into your home and being like, oh my gosh, there's so much I need to change in here. I do the same thing in my house, but somebody else could walk into your home and be like, this is my dream. This would be the answer to all the prayers I've ever prayed,
Yes.
So
Yes.
which doesn't make
They don't see that I need drapes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make you ungrateful,
Yes.
but it just allows you to have a little bit of a shift in perspective.
I love that.
Toward gratitude.
I think that's something interesting too, that sometimes people on Instagram like remind me of, because what you're seeing of people's Instagrams are such a small
Yes.
sliver of what's going on. And that's something that you have to remember with anyone you follow on Instagram. Like,
so true.
it's not actually real. It's curated. And even people are like, real life internet is not real life. It's so different.
Like you're setting up
So
a
none
phone.
of it is really real. Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be
You
a
might
little
be crying, but I know you're recording yourself crying. So it's kind of weird.
You forget that, right?
You do.
You
It's
do.
sometimes
You're like, she
conscious.
just
It's
walked
fine.
out like down those stairs, just like a
Totally.
queen, right?
Totally.
Yes,
But I think
amazing.
sometimes it's a good reminder when people are like, wow, because I look at my house and it's old and we have so much to renovate still, but people see the small snippets and they're like, wow,
It's
that looks so,
amazing.
it's a good reminder of like what you're walking through could be someone else's, an inconvenience for you could be someone else's like,
dream. Yeah.
Yeah, and even this, I've watched you curating your new home, and you really inspired me with, I love traditional, but I was like, she makes me love like cozy traditional. And I love that you went and found a house that you could put your touch on it. And it really has, it's really been inspiration to me, and I think so many, but it's true. You get this house and you see it as a job or something
yeah.
that needs a lot of attention, and somebody could just be like, oh my gosh, I just want that house, period. And we kind of lose our reality sometimes in this content creation
You do.
world.
Yeah.
I know I do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to like stay grounded sometimes.
Mhm.
How do you stay grounded in this realm of social media and content creation?
You put it away.
Yeah.
You
100%.
put it away.
Yes.
That's what I have to do.
You have to. Yeah. And I think too, with kind of what you were saying about the separation of, being with your family and then also having work 24/7, because what we do could be 24/7.
24/7.
If there was 8 days in a week, it'd be 24/8. Like
Yes.
it's nonstop. There's no ceiling to how much we can
No.
get done. And I think that's the same though that people forget with any entrepreneur. Anybody that owns a business is
Yes.
going to be thinking about their business 24/7.
You are an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
as
like it
influencers.
is,
Yes.
like our business. So it is tough. Like once, you bring kids into the mix, and even like relationship with your husband. Now that my husband's also doing this, it's
Yes.
like,
What's that
we
like?
have to be like so much of the time. We have to look at each other. He'll be on his phone, like editing something. And I'm like, hey, and same, but he does the same for me. We have to
Yes.
keep each other in check. Like,
Yeah.
let's put it away. Let's go put it in the office. Like,
Yeah.
not
Yes.
even look at our, like, do not disturb, and have our hours of work time like normal business owners would do.
Good for you.
Like try to be like, okay, we have a 9 to 5 and then it's done, or 8 to 4, whatever we make those hours,
Yes.
and make that our business hours. And I feel like that has helped a lot, especially with motherhood stuff too.
So good.
Yes, because you need to leave space to be a mom.
I do not want to be on my phone while my daughter's playing Candy Landy, as she calls it, with
Eh,
me.
yes.
Like, she is crushing me at Candy Landy, guys, every day. No, literally, I'm like, sweet. So it's like that. It can be so tempting if I get a
Yes,
message
you get those notifications
I
coming
have
in.
to turn off my notifications.
Yes,
No,
I need to do
it's
that,
too
actually.
much. Yes, it's too much. So
Yes.
it is great whenever you can be 100% in on it and be working on it, but then be able to turn off. It's hard, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
How do you do weekends? I know I'm like jumping
Yeah,
ahead. We have
no,
to start
yeah,
from the
yeah.
beginning, but I am curious about weekends as you talk about 9 to 5s,
Yeah.
you know,
We
how do you are you off?
So we have childcare Monday through Thursdays, and then Fridays we call Family Fridays. And from Friday to Sunday, we try to not work.
Good
However,
for
that
you.
that doesn't
It's
always
hard.
happen. Yes,
Yeah.
it doesn't always happen. But that's what we try to do. And if we do have something, like if there is a true deadline that we have to do, then we talk about it Thursday night. We're like, hey, what does our weekend look like? He's like, okay, I have to shoot this thing Saturday morning. Great. I'll go take the girls for something, and then family day. But we have to over communicate everything. And we do that. We have like little meetings every single night about the next day. Like, what do we
That's
need to
good.
do? And that way I know, okay, from 8 to 10, he's working, and then I have to work till 11, and then we're done.
Yeah.
But we try. I mean, you
Yes.
guys know, like it's
We do
hard.
that. It's hard not to.
It's hard.
Yes.
But, you know, because everything, even responding to a DM technically is work.
yes.
And, you know, it's nonstop. So,
yes,
yeah.
it's
Also,
not.
sometimes it's like really fun.
It is. Our
Sometimes
job
I
is
like
so
shooting
fun.
something, or, like, I love chatting with people in my DMs.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fun to banter about different things
It
or like
is.
whatever's
Yes.
going on. And so it's kind of, but like you just have to put it away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
it's
you
hard.
all are still doing your DMs.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I've heard of some influencers, they have someone else doing it. I've always come from, and I'm not in the realm that you all are in, but I've always wanted to stay connected to the customer
Same.
for me,
That's where the
Same.
connection
to the
is.
person. Yeah.
That's where you get to have one-on-one conversations with
Yes.
people.
For sure.
Yeah, it'd be different if they were just asking, I think, like, hey, where's your top from? And that's all the questions were. But people come to us with, like, I think they watch our stuff and think that we are connected, which we are.
We're
but
friends.
They look at us as friends. And especially, I'll speak to what I do. Obviously, as a mom, content creator, people are like, hey, I'm breastfeeding. My supply is low. Like, help me. What do I need? And I'm like,
Yes.
girl, I went through it too. Like, and we're going back and forth, and
I
we're
love
talking
that.
about that. And I couldn't have somebody else doing that.
Yes.
Because they're
Yeah.
following me for me. But if it was just like, hey, I need the link to this, it'd be
Yeah,
different.
That's easy.
But
I
yeah.
mean, literally at 9 o'clock last night, I was out measuring my fireplace because someone didn't.
Someone need to measure me.
Hey, what's the from the top of the hearth to the fire? Like, what's that? What's
You're like,
the ground?
You can't leave us
And I'm
just hanging on that.
I got you.
I got you.
I got you.
I got you.
I'm like,
It's the same.
Nathan's like, you're not changing that again, are you? I was like, no.
Of course.
He has a right to ask.
Fire.
What are you doing?
My husband gets very nervous when he sees me with a tape measure. Yeah. He's like, shoot.
This is my tape measure. Does anybody else walk around? I'm like, oh, that'll fit.
Or you just walk it. It's like, let me step it. Let me
I
step
just
it.
like I'm a size 10 shoe.
Yeah.
So I just like measure with my foot.
There. Yes, that's exactly right.
It's like girl measuring, like girl math.
30
You know?
inches. I don't know.
tape measure comes out and there's a project.
Start sweating.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I have so many questions and they have so many questions, but who started first among you? Do you know? Because you're all friends.
Yeah.
Did you, how about sisters? Who started
Good.
before?
So
Who's the
I'm gonna
first?
say that Anna was working in social media.
That's right.
But she was working for a retailer in social media. And then you but I don't know if I started before you technically, but you were in the space before I was, I think.
Yeah, I would
Can't
say
really remember.
as a hobby, I started first.
Yeah.
As a job, you started first.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So technically.
And as hobbies, I guess we technically started at the same time because we worked at that retailer together and we
did.
were on social media together.
Yes,
So I feel like we were both
right.
posting on our own too, just like as a hobby. Like,
Yes.
at the same time, like
Posting
2015,
outfit
2016.
pictures, you'd be
Yeah.
like, what?
Just
Yeah.
outfit pics.
Yeah.
Looking back is always really fun.
Oh yeah.
I know. I can like my first outfit picture that I ever took was in my first year of college. This was in 2011.
No kidding. I was going to ask you what year was this?
Yeah,
'Cause Instagram just
2011.
kind of started like 2010
Yeah.
ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
So you were like
I
a
jumped right into it.
trailblazer.
Said I've got
I
That's
jumped right into
amazing.
it. I can tell you
Yeah.
exactly what I was wearing. I had a top. knit.
Okay, what were you wearing?
I was wearing a gray tank with skinny jeans, obviously balance
Obviously,
flats,
obviously.
and army green vest.
Remember
And it
everybody
was-
had too. Yes.
Oh
With
my
high
gosh.
hats and
Yeah,
of
course, and
Yeah,
a
to fit
drawstring
out.
waist.
Gear.
Yes.
Of your gear.
And I think like some kind of like printed scarf with like the big
like an
tight
infinity scarf.
sock bun.
Yep.
The
Fun.
infinity scarf.
Yeah.
Infinity scarf
Sock
bun
bun.
is so
Throw the bubble
2011 era.
Listen,
Let's
A
go.
bubble necklace?
The what?
yeah,
The
the
bubble
bubble
necklace.
necklace.
Oh,
remember
with
the
all the bubble
like the
necklaces.
big turquoise one.
So that was
That's
probably my
amazing.
first. Yeah.
We all had the vest, and now we have the blazer.
Yeah. You know, change
Now
it.
we
And the
have-
infinity scarf.
We have graduated.
Yes, no more. I remember those necklaces. They were like bright yellow, bright orange, coral. Had them all.
If you didn't have it with your outfit, it was not complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then all the layers of the necklaces. It's wild. I remember seeing you all. I had opened the store in 2015, so you already began your journey. 2015, I saw these cute, beautiful women on my front porch at the apparel store. I was like,
door.
who are
Aesthetic
these?
door imaginable. We were like,
In
I just
all
ran
of
a lemon
North Georgia.
I know.
It was the door of Georgia. Every influencer was
Come
at that door.
It's red.
And then one day I showed up and it was you. It was you. I think it was Loverly Gray. It was you,
Probably.
Anna.
The whole crew.
So the whole crew in front. And I was like, okay, who are these people? And I want to meet them and I want to hang out. And you were so lovely. And then you and I started doing stuff. Like I wanted to hire you to be my social media. Do you remember that? And I was like, I can't afford you. You didn't even give me a price. I just knew you were so good. And I was like,
Probably
just teach
could
me
have.
your way.
Bought those vibes.
You probably could have.
And I was like, how do you do this? And then you came to Linden Flax a few times and modeled clothing. It would always sell out whenever she modeled it. It was just, those were the old days. Those were like,
It was so pure.
it was so pure.
I kind of miss the days of just the photos.
It's just
Like simplicity.
Simplicity.
You called a girlfriend or you DM'd and you said, hey, you want to come to a try on? And it wasn't like now you have to fill out like a whole thing. And
Yeah.
it was just, I don't know how to do it now. And, but it was so awesome of you to do that back in the day. But that's how I met you. You were blonde, long
Yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
And then you showed up one day and you said, you're moving to New York.
What
How,
was
tell
that
us
about?
about that. Because
I
everyone,
represented
I
that.
did took a poll.
Did not
I'm
like that.
so mad about it.
Still angry about that.
But you got her back. You got her
And
back.
Liz was like perfect a place to
Yeah.
I was like, great. And then my husband and I went literally like every quarter.
Every other
Oh,
month.
yeah.
Oh, I
we will
love
be
it.
there.
I always wanted to visit you in New York. I never got
Oh.
there.
Oh, so
We had an
Quite the
open door.
experience. Yeah.
So-
Sleep on a couch, but it's just
great.
Perfect.
It's the
It was
best
such a
experience.
moment. You just
so
took that apartment to the next level.
Well, I had my first apartment in Fidei. We moved in 2019, and it was like on the 41st floor.
I remember that. That's
So
right.
modern, like the way I designed it.
Yes.
So modern.
It was.
And that's when I was really still trying to figure out like what my interior style
Mm.
was, but it also matched the actual
building.
apartment so
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Just lots of West Elm.
Yes. Totally. It was beautiful though.
Thank you.
I mean, you do modern well, traditional. That's
Yeah.
that's why I think you should be in interiors.
I like a blend. I
Yes.
just appreciate lots of different styles. But anyway, so that I think it was less about my interior design skills that blew up on Instagram. It was more about how cool the apartment was.
Yes,
Had
it
nothing to do
was.
with
Had the
me,
best
really.
views.
Had a
So
really
beautiful.
cool view. It was really fun. And then COVID hit in 2020, and Fidei was obviously where everyone was like working. It was a very like vibrant part of town, and it got really quiet. And so we had a lot of friends who lived uptown. And I also learned while I was living there, I really like something cozier, something with character. I kind of got anxiety every time I was like looking out and seeing the busy city. I was like, oh,
Yes.
yeah, the building would shake a little bit whenever it rained.
I remember
It's
you
crazy.
talking about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's crazy. So that's when I started kind of like learning what I liked a little bit more and started looking for apartments. And we found that apartment because it was 2020.
Everybody was leaving the city.
Everybody was leaving the city. We
That's right.
thought we were committed to the bit. And we found that little gem of apartment on Park Avenue. It
On
was-
Park Avenue. It's so Anna
was
Page.
So dreamy.
I know.
It was such a dream. It really was so fun. And then I had a kid and it felt small. And I was like, oh, I like it here.
Yes.
Not the city, but just the apartment was like, oh my gosh, this is
Yes.
fancy.
Yeah.
So really it comes down to that. It comes down to missing like
Home.
family and friends. And I always say, like, if all of my people had been in New York, I would have stayed in New York forever. I loved living in
yes.
New York. I love the
So
lifestyle.
alive.
I love the people. I love the city. There's so much energy. I miss the food. But it just like was something, even when you talk about like, well, we could get a house outside of the city. You're like, if we're going to not be in it,
Yes.
wanna
We
be
don't
with
want to
our
be here.
people. I
Yes.
don't want to be here.
Yes.
And that it was like every time Laura would leave, I remember right after I had my son,
Yes.
Laura came and stayed with me for like a week.
Yeah.
And when she left, I was begging her not to leave.
Oh my goodness.
I was like sitting on the toilet after she had properly changed my diaper.
Oh my goodness.
Still leave me with the baby. Like, what are you doing?
We're not moving moving in for us.
And every time people left, anytime y'all left, like Nathan and I just felt this feeling of like, it hurts. Like, it starts to hurt a lot
Yes.
more. And it got worse and worse every time to where we're like, we can't do this anymore. So we just started looking. I mean, we knew we'd come back here because that's where people are.
Mm-hmm.
And it just all, the way
Lined
God
up.
coordinated it was just like so perfect. And we found a house on New Year's Eve last year.
Oh, has it been a year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, we had it for we closed the beginning of last year, and we stayed in New York while a few things were being renovated.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of in both places for a little bit, and then we were here permanently end of summer.
Okay.
And it's been great.
Wow, it's been great. It's been great having you back.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
having
it's
her
been
back.
life-changing for me.
Yeah, I do. I felt like it was like hometown girls coming back. She went to the city.
Yeah.
You blew up in the city.
like a
You
Hallmark
really
movie.
transformed. I think your Instagram. You just took it to a different level, and I feel like you found yourself there.
I did. Even like it's silly, but like my hair changing, like that was the
Yes.
thing that was like, this is my natural hair color. Like I
Yeah.
haven't colored it in 2 years.
Yeah,
And it was just it was
Beautiful.
a kind of an example of how I feel like I came to be myself. I never went away for college. I
Right.
never experienced like moving anywhere else.
Right.
My husband was fairly local for college, and so I feel like that was like a way of really finding ourselves and
Yes.
figuring out who we were apart from the people that we've known all our lives and
Mhm.
the places that we've lived all our lives. And like we found ourselves, and now we're like
Yes.
coming back with that. And I was nervous before we moved back that like I would lose that. For some reason, I had this thing in my head of like,
Yeah.
when I move back, I'm going to turn back into it like the previous version of myself. But it's like, that's not how it works.
No,
You become that version of you that you found, and you're, like,
Yes.
very secure in it. And you're like, okay, this is
that's the best version of yourself.
yeah.
It truly is. I think sometimes it's getting away from home. That happened to me
It was
too.
really good for
And
me
yes, it's a
It's
beautiful thing.
until it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. Until it's like,
Until, like, yeah, exactly.
So now you're back. Let's talk about, so you started you were at the beginning of all this Instagram, right? It's like, what is Instagram? You guys kind of jumped on, started content creation. I think it was very different then than it is now. Do you feel like it's completely changed?
Completely different. Completely different.
And how so, Liz? How do you see it's completely different?
Well, I think obviously now people not everybody's doing it, but it obviously there's so much more less barrier to entry, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like before it was so new that
Less
people weren't-
barrier to entry. That's a
think
good way to
it's-
put it.
I think people were almost a little like scared before, and now they see and they're like, oh wait, I want to share this part of my life, or I want to help it like be a resource for somebody in this way. But obviously just in general, like the tactical stuff, like video now has changed everything.
Yeah.
Like once TikTok obviously became, really popular in 2020, everybody's at home on their phones making these videos and just blowing up from it overnight. I mean, their life is changing literally overnight, which is crazy to think how often that happens. But then obviously Instagram's kind of taking that as well. And they're like, oh,
We need to do
we need to do
videos.
video. So I feel like video in general has just changed because you get a little bit more insight into people, for better or for worse. Like for better or for worse for the content creator, because
Yes.
like it can be tough to decide. Like we talked about, like what to share, what not to share, how much you want to really let people in. But you couldn't do that with a photo. Like a
Right.
photo is just
Yeah.
a staged photo. And
Yes.
nobody had any insight. The only opinion they were giving is if they didn't like your infinity scarf from,
That's
That's true. And you're like, whatever, I don't care if you like my clothes. But
Yes.
wait, now you're coming
You're
at
giving
me
them
'cause-
full access.
Yeah, that it's so different. It's so different.
It's a mini reality.
Yeah,
show for me.
100%.
I do
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
People
Yeah.
consume it
Yes.
sometimes feels that way.
I don't even watch TV, honestly.
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I work on Instagram and I answer DMs and I occasionally get to look at see what my friends are doing. I don't have time for TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think people are watching it like TV.
They are. They totally are. For better or for worse.
So many pros
Sometimes
and
that
cons,
comes
yeah.
with like the feedback of people
Yeah.
thinking you're someone on TV.
Yeah. Some reality
You know,
story.
that's true.
Not a real person.
Yeah.
Real mom over here, just,
Yes, I'm
just
like,
trying to make a living here.
I'm surviving. Thank you. Sorry you didn't like the tile I picked.
Sorry, you're so upset about the
How
topic.
do you deal with the people that give you that criticize? Like how I think that's part. I think there's a hesitation for people now.
Mhm.
Maybe before in 2011, people jumped on because we didn't know. We didn't know how
It was like the wild, wild west.
how great it could be or how damaging, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now that we know, I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I would never put myself out there because it feels like you're putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I think it's a lot too because sometimes and again, I can speak to my content because it is very different. Mine is more like day in the life. I'm showing what I'm doing for my morning routine and like, getting my girls ready and like making breakfast and whatever it is. Or, we're starting solids or whatever the case is. And people are going to have opinions, of course.
When you should start solids.
Yeah, no, literally.
Yeah.
No, don't
Yes.
start this way. Don't
Hear it.
100%.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
oh, don't use a silicone plate. Don't use like, why are you using this? Or wait, you should be using a silicone plate. My husband and I were actually laughing about this last night because a lot of times, like for us, for example, we like to keep our house picked up. We have 2 kids, but our house every night we do a reset because mentally I cannot handle
the same.
a messy house. And if we, share that, a lot of people are like, great, like think this is actually like so like inspiring. I want to do that too. Or you get that's so unrealistic. I'm like, but it's not unrealistic for me because that's what I'm doing.
Just helps me.
So you get it's unrealistic, or your oven. You need to clean your oven. They see that in the background of something. I'm like, you can't win.
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
it's
Sometimes
messy or
it does
stupid.
feel like that. Yes.
You just you're always going to get opinions, and I think I've had to learn for me. I don't care if somebody has an opinion if they don't like my couch. But if
Right.
they are coming at me when it comes to something with motherhood, that's when it's harder to
I agree.
handle. Or when you almost feel like you're being misunderstood. That's when it's
Yes.
hard. That's when it's hard. But if it's an opinion, whatever. I've learned, I feel like my
Yes.
skin's gotten a little bit thicker in that way. I'm like, you can have your opinions. That's
Right.
Laura and I were talking on the way over here
Yeah.
because we talk 1,000 times a
I
day.
love that.
We do. And we were talking a little bit about how the internet lacks context.
Yes.
And that's like a huge part
Yeah.
of it. So,
So
you
true.
can go on, say what you're saying about that.
share
That
that.
was really good.
It's sort of like when you have you think you have this massive amount of insight into somebody's life, you really have such, like you were talking about earlier, you have a tiny little amount of insight.
Yes.
So you don't have enough context to be able to really give an opinion. But the way, and in fairness, when I'm watching someone else's story, I see it as me and them. I don't see it as me in an arena with 55,000 other people all giving opinions at the same time
Right.
at one person. Like that can be really overwhelming. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think that
That's very
it
true.
comes down
Wow.
Good way to put
to
it.
you have to figure out how to protect your peace. And one of the things that
That was one of my questions. How do you protect your
one of the
peace?
things that I recognized is like we talked about earlier, I handle all of my own DMs. And DMs are wild because you can have one that is like
Wild, wild west.
Wild,
you
wild west.
make my
know what
day.
you're
You're
about to open.
sharing this one thing that you shared. You're doing an amazing job. I'm so happy that I follow you. You're great. And the next one is like, you're ugly. You shouldn't be doing this. And it feels like you get whiplash from it.
Yes.
Emotional whiplash.
Emotional
I
whiplash.
came up
That's a great way
with
to put
a
it.
rule probably about a year ago. Like my Instagram kind of started growing at a little bit more of a pace than it had been growing before.
And you
And
really took off.
Yeah.
yeah, so it's weird because you just get a little bit more of an influx of new people that maybe you don't know you as well or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I was going to have basically like a zero tolerance policy. If someone
Yes.
sent me something that was ugly and not constructive, immediate block.
Block.
Don't even.
I've done
I
that
don't
too
even-
now.
The rule that I gave for myself is do not engage because my
I need to
tendency is
do
be
that.
Like, I have to. It's like you said, you don't want to be misunderstood. I hated being misunderstood. I was like, that's not what I meant. And I'm like, no,
That's not what I meant.
do
Exactly.
not
That's-
engage.
yeah.
You have to protect
Yeah,
your
it's
peace
tough.
for real life,
Yes.
for my children. And my children were coming in and they'd find me in tears over something that a stranger said to me online. And I'm like,
Yes.
this
Yes.
is wild. I owe more to these people in my
Yes.
real life and to the precious, encouraging, wonderful people
That do show
follow
up.
me on
Yeah.
Instagram
Yes.
to not spend any of my time, energy, or effort on someone. And you know what? Honestly, I'm creating a win-win because I'm releasing that person from a place that they don't really need to be anymore.
That's
And so
absolutely
they felt
doing
like
me
they had to
a
leave.
favor by
Yeah.
being like, you know what? This is probably not a good place.
We're not going to
for
do
you.
this.
I'm going to
Yeah.
bless you and I'm going to release you.
Blessed and released. Yeah.
Block you.
And block.
Blessed and block. I love
But
that.
it creates more space for the people that because there's so many wonderful, precious people. And
Yes.
also
It's that
I will say-
0.5%.
It's such a small.
Yeah.
in there that you're just like, oh, but it really stings. And
It
you
does.
sometimes it'll be a comment And I immediately delete the comment because, and listen, if someone says like something constructive, like, hey, there's not a whole lot you can say. It's just an outfit, you know? But
Yeah.
you'd be surprised.
It's all people.
Yeah.
But if
People
people
will
say
reach, yeah.
constructive things, I am open to that. I love
Yes,
conversing
learning.
with people. I love learning and growing and hearing
Yes.
what people have to say. A lot of times they have great ideas, and I love that.
Absolutely.
So if it's constructive, all about it. I can even take
Right.
constructive criticism.
I
had
can
one girl
too.
say one time to me, she was like, I feel like all your outfits look exactly the same. And I said, well, I do wear a lot of the same things over and over again because I find that's helpful for people because you've already bought these jeans. So let me show you another way to wear them.
Yes.
But that's okay for her to feel that way.
Right.
And that what she said was not really ugly.
Right.
And so I have to have discernment to be able to decide. But if it immediately robs me of my peace, I'm like, nope.
Mm-mm.
If you
Yeah.
feel it in your,
If you feel it in your
yes,
soul,
and you're
then
just like, that's
But can you
stung
imagine
by.
even going out of your way and commenting something negative on someone else?
Have you ever done that in your life?
Zach, my husband, and I
No.
always talk about that. Who are these people? Because in our life, even like our circle, our friends, our family, I cannot imagine any single one of them going out of their way to be
Ugly.
to
It's
somebody
funny,
else.
but
It's so interesting.
It's funny when it's home stuff too, because Laura and I, we talk about this all the time. It's as if the way that people, some very small amount, I have to say, the people that
Yes.
follow me on
Yes.
Instagram are lovely, lovely people.
Yes.
Like I
It
love
always
Because
makes
diversity
you
lovely
loud,
people
but even if it's
generally
small.
attract lovely
Yes.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It's just that-
so
Yes.
thankful for
0.5%.
the people
Yeah.
that follow me. There are always going to be people that come in and you're like,
Well, where'd you come from?
You're not our people here.
Like I'm sharing a new curtain. Like,
It's gonna be okay.
it's not offensive. But we always compare it to someone. If I walked into your house and I was like, I don't like the color of those. If I didn't know you,
It's so true.
and I walked into your house and said,
Or you walked up to a girl and said that blazer.
Like you chose
I don't like that.
yeah, what?
Yeah.
but like, what was here before? I like that better.
Yeah.
You're like,
There should be a reel like that.
Listen, I'm sure there probably
There
is.
probably is
We
because
should
it's such
do
a
that.
funny.
I should do that reel. Like,
especially with home stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. They're allowed to have their
Fun.
opinions. I will
Yes.
say, I am a very opinionated person. I don't use it with other people on the internet. I just don't. I just don't put it there because I assume, and I follow like a lot of great creators.
their creative expression.
I'm like, if you want to do that, you do that.
Knock yourself
would,
out.
Would I do that? No.
No.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't.
It doesn't matter to them at all what you would do.
No.
And I think a really
No,
good
it's so
general
wild.
rule as you're consuming content is if I would not say this to this person to their
100%.
face and feel good about it, I'm not going to say it.
Kind of like what your mom
Like,
used to say.
Yeah,
like,
like, you can't say anything nice.
If
Keep
you
your
have
mouth
stuff,
shut.
just
basic
If
stuff.
you're not going to say it in person, don't say it.
Yeah.
And if
And
you're
then
going
you have people who would actually say
Well,
that.
like, yeah.
Actually, there are those people.
And then
so
you're kind of like,
there
you know
are.
what? It's you
Yeah.
do you. Like I
And
just
you're
like
like, oh,
whatever.
That's fine.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to take it.
Yeah.
Well, the best is just responding and being like, okay,
Thank you for your
Okay.
time.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bless and block.
have a nice day.
Yes,
Thank you
I'm
for
going to
the
take your
engagement.
rule of don't engage because sometimes I will say I'll read it and I'm like, oh, and Douglas is like, what? And I'll read it out loud and I'm like, oh my gosh. And he's like, don't engage. I'm like, let me just say one thing.
Just
I
say
just say one thing. And he tries to keep me like
Yeah.
from not going down that
It's
mental
so
road.
freeing.
And it's
so
like,
freeing.
I go, okay, I'm going to block them after I tell them right?
Yeah.
what I think.
Have they read it? Have
Then
they
I'm
read
waiting.
it?
And then when I see
It's
that they saw it, then I block them. And I'm
I
like,
know.
okay, I got to just not engage.
I know, but it's better to just be like, you know what? No.
Block and bless. Bless and block. Okay, I love that. Okay. So you've evolved.
Yeah.
I noticed that in this conversation that we're just talking about of these people, I feel like you changed your Instagram. And I always wondered because I've considered the way you do. I actually showed it to our social media. I'm like, listen, I noticed the way Laura does her social media. She's not talking, she's just showing the pretty outfits. And I feel like it's just a cleaner way to show the outfit and it's less stuff and conversation and it just highlights the look.
Yeah.
Did you do that on purpose? I mean, intentional.
It was a little bit on accident. It was a little bit on purpose. Part of it was my house is very loud. And I found if I was ever trying to record something, all
Ah.
of the background noise was so distracting. And I
Right.
never know what my kids are going to yell. And
Yes.
so then I was constantly having to
Yes.
start over. And I'm also very chatty. And so I was finding that my stories
too.
were just, I would look at them and be like, why
Wow.
did this take 17 slides to describe I didn't need to do that.
Yes.
And I also
Yes.
found that just in my personal life, I needed to find something to simplify and something to, I wouldn't call it put on autopilot because it really does take a lot of like time and effort. And I put a lot
It
of
looks like a lot of effort.
thought
Very
into
intentional.
it. However, I needed something that I could kind of streamline a little bit, and it wasn't going to be my family. And so it needed to be that. And so for a while, it was just more of like, I don't really have the time or the energy or the ability to just go to different places and, you know, find all these different
Go to
backgrounds.
find
and
a
take all
door.
these cool,
Yes,
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Take all these cool videos and all these different spots.
Yes.
And then I just found that I was like, what am I really trying? Okay, when you strip it all down, what do I really want to do? And what I really want to do is I found when I was a young mom, and I remember reading a blog that she's now one of my friends, but then I just like looked up to her so much. And she wrote a blog and she was like, it's just as easy for you to put on a cute shirt and jeans as it is for you to put on a t-shirt and leggings. So you feel better when you get dressed. It's just, you just do.
You just
feel better when
do.
you get dressed. And so I was like, I took what she said because at the time I didn't really know what my style was. I was just trying to.
I feel like you really have come into your
I'm
own.
going to rebuttal that because Laura has had fantastic style from the time I
Yes.
could
When I started following you in 2014,
forever.
13.
Sweet.
Yes, so we take that back. But you
So
have
I'm rejecting that.
transformed.
Maybe it was just in my mind. I felt like I
Yeah.
didn't know what I was
Because some of us
doing.
have been like,
And I just found that I was
for a
just sort
long
of
time.
like sinking back into like, oh, I don't have the brain space to put outfits together.
Yeah.
So I just thought like, if I'm feeling that way, I know that other moms, other women are probably feeling the same way. And I know that it feels really good to be put together.
Yes.
And so I just kind of wanted to share ideas, whether it's something that you already have in your closet, like
Love it.
here's some ideas. So you can come back and reference them later. But I want to just make it about the clothes.
Yes.
I never really felt like I was going to be one of those influencers that just everybody followed me because I was just so incredibly interesting or so.
I think you are
all
them.
these things, share all these like
Yeah.
you know inner workings of my life and everything.
Right.
going on. Like I got to the point to where life got so busy.
Yeah.
My children got older. I felt like I needed to protect more
Yes.
of their stories and not really share as much because, you know, they're in school and people come up and they're like, I follow your mom on Instagram. And you're like, cool.
Yeah, like that's yeah.
You know, I don't want them to be
Good
like,
point.
yeah. And then she shared the story about you the other day, you know, so I'm trying
That's
to
a
protect
true
them.
thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
My husband has had tons of health stuff, and sometimes it's hard enough to walk through stuff, but then you add a whole nother layer when you have to share it while you're walking through it.
Yes.
And I heard this quote one time that it basically talked about like sharing from your scars, not sharing from your wounds. And so sometimes you have to wait till you get to a place of healing before you can really share.
Yes.
And that's kind of what we've gone through now. So we have tried to share a little bit of it, but to answer your question in a very now you can see why I don't talk.
No, there's a
She's
lot
like,
though,
"Land
because a lot of
the
people
plane."
asked about your husband. I did a little pop up, and they're like, "How is he doing? Health update." And
Yeah. It's
so
just-
yeah, you
you know, I
were
mean-
sharing a lot.
Yeah. And it becomes almost a full-time job just
Yes.
to manage responding to concerned and precious people's questions. about
Yes.
everything. Even people at
Your
our church
family.
are like, did he just have surgery? They're like, he has cancer? And I'm like, yeah. And you know, when you're in, you know, the mode of like, he was diagnosed with a chronic illness when he was 18. So basically almost the entire time I've known him, I only knew him
Yes.
for a few years before he was diagnosed. And then ever since then, it's just been, you know, and when you go through that, sometimes you just have to put your head down and you just have to like get through it.
Yes.
Because especially when you're trying to manage, you know, help your children walk through these things,
Through it
help
too.
protect their peace as they're walking through it. So I
Good
think,
move you made.
well, yeah, and it's just served our family well because it was like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep this over here. I'm going to keep this about clothes because I think that's what can be really helpful
Yes.
for people. And then over here, I'm going to just really focus on my family. And then I'm going to turn these things off to where sometimes it just gets too, you know, this from lifestyle.
Yes.
It can get a little
Oh,
too
gosh,
interconnected.
yes.
And
Yeah.
sometimes you have to, and I don't even say that, I'm not even necessarily saying that it'll always be like that or
Right.
like it is right now. Like sometimes I still do try to get on and chat, but honestly, life is just so incredibly busy. I
Yes.
feel like I hardly ever have a second to just sit down and be like, "Hey, what's up?" And
You know
wish
what I
did
think
have
is
more, but-
interesting though? I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think that you grew more by showing kind of following your heart of this is what's going to be important. This is what's going to bring value to my community.
Yeah.
And when you made that decision, maybe you weren't sharing all this other stuff, but I feel like you took off when you made that decision.
That's like the best
exactly
way.
what they're
Yeah.
gonna get.
It's
Like,
consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency.
It's
This
like
is It
Yeah.
might.
You're
just
super
not-
consistent.
I crave that.
Yes. I'm all
you,
over the place.
Like you have a formula that you created.
I
like,
really do believe you do.
And
Yeah.
I think people, the goal of what we do business wise is like somebody to see your video and before they really even like see your face or your name, that they know it's your content.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes,
like
the
your
same
branding is so
backdrop.
recognizable. It's
Yeah.
so like, yeah, it's amazing. I think people saw that probably a couple times. Were like, oh, I need to follow her. I keep seeing this. Like, and they recognize
It's
you.
brilliant.
Yeah.
And they know what they're going to
That's
expect.
amazing. I'm like,
Great.
But inspiration. You're a leader in content creation because I don't
Inspiration.
know a lot of influencers that kind of do it like that. But I know I kind of stopped in my, because I hadn't seen you in a while.
Yeah.
And this was a couple of years ago or a year ago. And I was like, I love how she's doing it.
Mhm.
It's so consistent. It's
great.
very easy to shop and it's beautiful. I have to ask, where's the backdrop? Is it a hallway? I'm dying to know.
That's just a dining room.
So I'm
It's in your
happy to share.
It's like it's just in your dining room. It's
Isn't
just
it funny?
like,
I'm just like,
it's literally like right in my dining room, right? My front door is right here.
good light.
Like I need to show a lot of just like behind the scenes because you literally will see Merritt dressed in something absurd.
You should do that one
like
day.
walking by,
Yeah,
yes.
she'll come in and
Awesome.
she'll grab my leg. Like my niece walked in the other day and we like stood there and hugged for a minute. I'm like talking to my sister.
Okay, I love it.
They're like,
I'm
back
calling
now.
her 10
But
times.
that's like your office. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, you're walking in my office.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know. We yeah, it's like, and I'm sure both of you would agree with this, but this whole thing, at least that I do, it is like the most non-glamorous,
I agree.
exciting. It is so just normal, everyday, simple, and I mean, I don't know. I just think it's very much like it's kind of a grind. You just have to stay consistent and keep doing what you love. And I think if you really love what you do, then that
Yes.
kind of translates.
Yes, and I think that's why
Like
people connect with
outfits.
you. Yes. So who inspires you? Like, were you inspired did you just come up with that idea of, oh, I'm going to start doing reels? Would you call that a reel? This is how little I know.
Yes, it's definitely. I think everything shifted from like,
Kind of had to.
yeah.
Do you feel like it's all towards reels now? Like everything?
I don't think so. Instagram said a couple weeks ago that they're pushing carousel.
I saw that. Yes.
I did see that about
I
carousel.
actually see
Yeah.
a lot of good engagement when I post, just like
And brands apparently are
Several
also
photos.
wanting because they want to do what Instagram wants them to do too. So
Sure.
brand deals are also coming through for like
But there
photos.
was-
I'm like, oh wait, I never do that. I should probably get on
Yeah.
photos again.
yeah, there was like a pretty clear shift of going from photos and people starting to be like, I don't know how to do video. Like
Yeah.
we had many
It takes-
conversations about like,
Anna
Time
taught me how to
consuming.
use Splice, which is what we used to.
Yeah,
do.
and like you
I don't
see
even know what that is.
So many people's videos
You should know
are
that,
so
Splice.
insanely edited too. And I'm like,
yeah,
you guys could go like 10 years ago, you would have been the top at your company editing
Exactly.
videos. Like
Oh,
the way that you're
exactly.
editing a video in your bed, you know,
In
like,
your
on
bed,
phone.
on your phone.
It's
Yeah.
insane. People do some incredible things. I do not, but
Yeah,
a lot of people
I
do.
mean, I don't know how to do a reel, so that's where I'm at. But I find it interesting. I'm like, is it a photo? Is it the carousel? Is it the reel? Because when we share a reel, we're different. We're a brand versus
Yeah.
content. It's a content creation, but I don't think people shop our reels. They shop our stories. So it's just different.
Yeah.
Reels
So
are good
I don't
for
like to spend a lot of
discovery.
time on reels.
Yeah. I feel like reels are good for people to discover
To
you.
discover.
And then once they follow you, then yeah, maybe they're shopping more on your stories. But I feel like
Mhm.
it's good for discovery.
I also do a lot of like process videos, especially for home stuff.
Tell me
just-
what that is.
like if
Never
I do,
heard that.
like a video walking through like my thought process of designing or like we're doing a renovation, so I walked through like each, so like I just did a 2-part series on our breakfast room and walked
Yeah.
through like from start to finish, here are all the changes we made, here was my thought process behind making these
That's
changes.
entertaining.
It
That
entertaining.
is.
Not forceful.
That
Yeah.
works better in video form with a voiceover because you're able to just like, I could just post an after photo,
Yes.
be like, look at how pretty this is,
Yeah.
but people like to see the whole process of
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
And it
Really
also
good
inspires
ideas.
people, to think like, oh, I could actually do this in this one space I've been trying to figure out. whatever.
And so are you creating that content? I think I saw a clip of that actually like a week ago. I'm not patient. So like I would take the clip and show them that day but it seems like you save them.
Yeah,
that-
so
for
that's
so it evolves
that
and it
one
becomes a
started in
beautiful
April.
Yeah.
April.
So that's patience because I don't know how to do that. I'm like, I want to show them right now. And
Yeah.
it's like, I love that though. I
like,
noticed.
I like saving it. And
Yes.
yes, that does not sometimes I'm like, okay, I just like need to share it, but like I love a dramatic before and
Yes,
after
because you're so
effect.
dramatic.
She's
I'm very
she's so like intentional. I feel like
Yes.
she's
She's
very
very intentional.
She has the plan from April, and then it's
Yeah.
January.
Just
But
got
she
revealed.
knew,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah.
what it would be.
So in the process, but I love like a good full before and after. I want to have. It's just like it's a personality thing too. I like to have all of the
It's very
information.
organized.
Yes.
And yeah,
You're all ready. So when you get it out there,
do it. Yeah.
the links are there, the whole transformation's there. I get it out there, and then I'm like, oh gosh, I got to find them that. And then I,
Yeah.
so I'm learning
try
from
to
you.
be that way.
Yes, I think that's a really good way if you're starting off to have a plan.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's okay
take
to
your
be
time.
patient. I feel like you asked your original question, I think, was like
Who inspires you? I was going to go back to that.
Anna, I know this sounds really cheesy, but Anna inspires me so much. She
Stop,
always
don't make
has.
me cry.
I know.
Yeah.
She's always inspired me a lot. But I think one of the things that I love about, like you said, the way that she creates content is that she is patient,
Yes.
but she's also patient enough to be able to see it. Like her vision from the beginning, before anybody else can see anything, she sees things that nobody else sees.
Yes.
And then she's able to kind of like follow it through. Like even when we were first like walking through this house, she was like, I'm gonna take before pictures. And I'm like,
yes.
when will the after? Like
How will you find
She's
that
like,
in your phone?
so next year on January 5th, I'm going to share.
Let's be incredibly organized,
Yeah.
like albums.
Get you albums
I
every
do have
I was gonna say, because there's no way.
But she's patient
and
I think-
intentional.
yeah. And in
Yes.
this industry, I think there's so many people, this is not a dig at anybody, but there's so many people that are just rushing to get like, I just want viral content, or I just want to get, tons of views on this, or I just want to do this. But like, she's very patient with what
Yes.
she does. And I think that's a huge reason that you've been so successful, is because you do allow people to come in and kind of
Mhm.
like get inside your head. And I get excited every time, but it's
Yes.
not even just her. It's not even just her reels or her those kinds of content.
Mhm.
It's also the way that she's able to share like her stories, and the way like we'll be like walking, like we went on a trip around Christmas time to New York, and I just love like watching like what she's wanting to capture and how she's going to
Yes.
share it,
Yes.
and thinking about like just how much better it's going to look than what
No, I know. Anytime we're together, I'm like, can you just tag me in that so I can reshare it? Like, just tag me in
like
it.
Christmas Eve.
She's
like,
I saw
artists,
the pictures
like,
from Christmas, and I was
just
like,
send them- just
the
send them to
Ralph's
me.
coffee place. I'm
So,
like,
my
know.
biggest
The outfits,
nightmare
the whole
ever
thing.
is her handing me
That's why I
her
asked you to take
phone
my picture.
and
I'm
asking
saying,
me to
take
take her photo. I said,
picture.
absolutely not, because there's no way that I can get inside your head and get the angle that you want. I am so like bad about
So
that.
is Nathan capturing these pictures of you crossing the street in New York, just looking? It's
I feel like he's
unbelievable.
inside your brain. Like you guys are.
He is
one.
inside of your brain.
You guys are
Yeah.
one.
Nathan is her secret weapon.
Yeah.
He's
He
Yeah.
is your secret weapon. I'm
behind the scenes,
Yeah.
but man,
He is. Does he not want to be in front of the camera at all?
I
I never see him.
He does some stuff.
Instagram.
Yeah.
does.
He does. Oh,
Yeah,
listen, the
he
man's
does.
style is.
It sounds
He-
incredible.
that is-
So is Liz's husband.
I-
He has incredible stuff.
I actually saw your husband and sent him to my son, not realizing. And I go, wait, is this the same Weber?
Awesome.
Because I was like, Riley, you should.
Yes.
These are some good looks.
Yeah.
he's
It's
got.
hard to
He's
find
great.
fashion.
It is.
Yeah.
I want him to
Incredible.
come to Linden Flats and do some men's stuff. I don't know if he would do that, but I'm like, wait,
Like, I'm signing you up, Zach. You're
His
doing.
husband
You know.
signed up.
Yes. Yes, he would love that.
Very stylish, really
Yeah.
good taste.
Yeah.
Hard to find a guy that
It's true.
got
Yeah,
that.
he's good about
Yeah.
it. He also creates content. We always laugh. Since we met, like we made our husbands become friends. It wasn't hard. They became friends immediately. We
Yeah.
took them on a little double date, and they were like best friends. But we always laugh that my personality is a little bit more Nathan, and her personality is a little bit more Zach. And now that he's creating content, which was a whole thing to get him to that point, but they are so similar in like how particular and detail oriented they are.
Yes.
Me and Zach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's incredible. Like watching him create content, I'm like, wow, we could not be more different. I need to do that. He's using
He
the
is
camera,
really
he's taking his
good.
time. It is like
But
very
I-
polished.
I
I'm like,
will say
"Oh."
at the same time though, like sometimes I get so in my own head and I'm
Yeah,
too
it's tough.
prepared. I respect so much. Like she's a workhorse.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
she
cranking stuff out.
breaks
But
cranking
out
it out.
content. Like when I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't want to do a video today. Like I don't know
Yes.
what I want to do a video on. Like I have nothing. I'm like, what would Liz do? What would Liz make content?
Something from nothing.
She does. But every single time you're like,
But it's
how'd you come up
entertaining.
with that?
I
It's
know.
so good. And
Yes.
but it's so resourceful too.
Yes.
So
And there's
anytime
people
I'm
that
like,
gravitate towards that.
yeah.
Yes.
And then people that gravitate
Yeah.
towards your style and that's I think the beauty of social
It's like-
media.
it's like TV again. Like everybody has
What
different.
channel are we
Yeah,
on?
like, what channel are we
It's
on?
funny
Yeah.
because we all technically do the same exact
Yes.
thing, but
Yeah.
all
So
three of us
differently.
could
In a
be
different
more
way.
And
So
respect different processes. And
100%.
Totally.
also like very much cheer each other on.
Yes.
Which is such a beautiful thing because, that's not always the case with women. And that's a conversation we're going to have on another podcast. But it's like women,
Can I come?
come on.
That's right.
Wanna
Yeah.
come to that?
Yes.
Like, wait, blessed and blocked. We already talked about that.
It's
But the fact that
women.
You have to do that.
It's
We shouldn't
really
have to be
sad.
blocking people.
No,
We should be
Well,
each
and it's
other's biggest
interesting.
cheerleaders.
Yeah.
biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like for the influencer industry in general, like it is primarily led by women.
Yes.
And so it's so fascinating that people, I mean, I've heard Laura and I have heard many people, oh, that's not gonna last. Oh, you can't make money doing that. Oh, that's just a phase. Oh, what do you do on the internet? You just
Yes.
I just
Oh
pay
gosh,
my
constant.
Yes.
okay.
I wish I could just stand around and try on clothes.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
oh my gosh.
don't get me wrong. There's not like I've had retail jobs, I have had toxic jobs, I've had a lot of things. This,
Yeah.
this is not like those.
There's a
things.
lot
Like,
of
I
luxury
respect
in it,
yeah,
there
but
is
it's
so much,
yeah.
and it's so crazy that we get to do this as a job.
And
I'm
that you're
never
getting
gonna,
paid.
like,
Yes.
I'm never gonna be one of those people that's like, this is
Oh my
hard.
God.
You should respect me more. I'm like, this is an absolute blessing and gift that we get to do.
Right.
And
Working
and
from
pay our bills
home.
with it. 100%.
Ish.
All of it is
Ish.
it-
Yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's wonderful. But it's crazy to see that it is such a highly infiltrated, womanly led industry, yet women are the ones who are looking at it and criticizing each other the most about it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have men in my comments.
I've
that
never
are-
had a guy say anything negative.
No.
Like
don't care.
it's so unfortunate.
It's just actually really fun to talk to guys about it because like Matt's friends and stuff they'll like ask me, they're like, all right, like tell me what is she doing? What is she doing? And he'll like explain some of the back end stuff and they're like, what?
Like, oh, they're so supportive. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
it's the coolest thing ever. They just love it.
I always say like my percentage of men that follow me is so small, but it's the girls and the
Same.
gays.
The girls-
Yeah.
Those are my followers.
Few
Yes.
guys that are gay and I love them. They've been with me from the beginning and we chat all the time.
Yes.
They're just the best.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's tough sometimes.
it is.
It's really tough.
It is.
So what channel do you go to? Like who inspires you?
Oh, well, so I always say when I'm working, I'm mostly on Instagram. When I'm consuming, I'm on TikTok. Like,
Yep.
that app
I
gets
ne-
taken away.
I know, right? We're like,
I need to enter the TikTok world. I haven't. I was talking to my
I would
hairdresser about it.
Say don't.
Just
Yeah.
don't.
because
Yes,
it's, but it's also like so
Entertaining.
So, but then you scroll and like you're seeing this adorable like video of this famous whatever, and then the next one's like this terrible like I don't know like your emotions are all over the place
All
when
over
you're
the place.
scrolling. Yeah,
Yeah.
like hilarious, heartfelt,
And you're like, I'm crying.
scarring, like the world's gonna end. You know, like oh I can't, I have to put my phone down.
Yeah.
But it is.
Are you on
But it's
TikTok?
like-
Yes,
You
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's my favorite to consume.
Yes, same.
I think.
Same.
Do you create on TikTok?
I do.
You do. Have
Yeah.
you seen it beneficial?
For me, when I got a following on TikTok that's actually bigger than my Instagram, but it's not as engaging because I feel like Instagram is like your community. Those are your
Yes.
TikTok it feels a little bit less
More like
than-
viewers.
Yeah, a little bit. Like people just kind of viewing and like maybe not following as much or I don't know, but I initially was on there like as a first-time mom with my first daughter asking people questions.
Section.
I was-
Sorry.
yeah, you're
in the
good.
studio.
I was just asking people questions like, okay, my first time mom, like, what do I do for this appointment? What's going to happen at this or whatever? And I think
Yeah.
people on TikTok interact so differently. And that type of content of me just setting down my phone and asking questions and talking would always perform the best. Whereas on Instagram, it's a little bit more of that curated, like, let me like actually have a video idea and like lay it
Yeah.
out.
Mhm.
So it's just totally different, but it's so fun to consume
Who
too.
are your favorite follows on on either one.
Yes, that's a good question.
Oh,
Eventually, we're gonna get around to answering this
I know.
question.
Oh,
I want to know who you're following.
I know one of my favorite, like, because again, like right now, I'm not in my fashion era. I am.
She says as she's perfectly dressed.
Well, yeah, but you know how long this took to figure out. It's just a topic but I love Kathleen Post. I love her style, and
I like her. Yeah,
and home style too. So that's somebody that I really enjoy her curated content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Her photos are good.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes. So good.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so some of my favorite accounts on TikTok, they're also on Instagram, are this one girl who lives in the Cotswolds in England.
Oh,
And
that's
her name is
cool.
Lydia Millen. And I could literally watch her like eat bread. Like
What
is
were you doing
fabulous,
watching this?
and,
Because
like,
it's just a beautiful backdrop.
she has the most classic style you have ever seen. Like just phenomenal content. She's like my comfort creator.
Yes,
She does like get
comfort
ready.
creator. I
That
like
is
that.
a trend. As like I feel like the thing
It
for
is.
2025
It is.
are
Finding their
finding their
comfort.
comfort creators. Like
What?
Yeah.
Tell me about it. Comfort. It just brings you comfort. Comfort creator.
Yeah. So
you
I
watch your
think
stuff, and like you said, it's just
It
like
brings you
calming and,
peace.
like
it's calming. Yeah. There's another account that does a lot of it's really beautifully shot. It's not shot with like an iPhone. Like
Okay.
it's very well done.
Almost
Cinematic.
cinematic, yeah.
Yes.
Ah.
And there's another one called I think it's called Arbrick Cottage. I think. They also live in the Cotswolds and their house is just
Are you gonna move there?
yeah.
no stop.
No.
Do this.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Not right now. Like,
No.
Idea.
I know. And that's like it's just an account that you go to and you just like want to get like a cup of coffee and just like scroll.
and just scroll.
It's not.
I love
it's
that you
someti-
just
it
put something
can
new
be
out there.
resourceful, but most of the time it's very inspirational.
Yes.
And you just watch it and you're like, that's nice.
Yeah.
Just like a
I
feeling.
think people want inspiration, less competition, more inspiration.
So too.
Lower, and it's just like because I feel like there's so much. Like I said, like you're scrolling TikTok, you're like, it's emotional whiplash.
Genre
whiplash.
Yes.
of like content whiplash.
Yeah.
But then you go to a page like that, and you're like, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's like just different enough from your own life. Like
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
following people that have like there's this one I think it's called Tallwood Country House, but she has a lamb and her lamb's just like chilling in her or she had ducks
Kitchen.
and her ducks
The
will
ducks
be,
are
like,
just going across
in the
floor.
sink
Like,
and I'm like like
I love
don't
that 'cause
really
it's so
necessarily- like,
different.
the logistics of having ducks in my house is like a
It's-
little off for
like
me.
I'm not gonna do that, but thank you for
It's
taking
fun
the
to
time
watch
do
it.
that.
Yes.
Because I don't have to clean your ducks.
Yes. So I think sometimes it's having like accounts that are like somehow it reaches a part of your brain that allows you to not turn it off. Like
Yeah.
it's still like you're intrigued by it, but you don't feel like competitive. You almost
Yes.
just feel like you can just like relax and just like enjoy it.
Yes.
And it's just like that's the kind of like we're so funny about TV that we watch. Like we don't watch anything that makes our heart rates increase. Like
Mhm.
we only watch shows that make us feel calmer.
Calm.
And like that's our general rule in our house.
Mhm.
And so
I love that.
I kind of feel the same way about any
Boundaries.
Like that, yeah.
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 I'm like, if it makes my heart rate go, like,
I just want to see
Parenting
somebody
does
like
that to me.
make
Like, I don't
their
want
coffee.
TV
Like
to
I want to see how somebody's like
Just
spending the
make
morning making
coffee.
coffee.
It doesn't have to be a whole thing.
Like,
Yes.
exactly.
So okay, people making their coffee. There's this whole thing with all your different what coffee do you drink? What's your favorite latte? When you go to Starbucks, what's your favorite drink? People want to know that. That was a question
Oh.
actually.
That's fine.
Because I think they think influencers always have a coffee cup.
I mean, that is true. It's always an accessory.
And everybody was using it for the
mean-
accessory.
You
Yes,
think
that's
like
real.
it's because they just like coffee. No, it's because I'm awkward and I don't know what to do with my hands.
You know, I don't use my hands either. So it's coffee.
I'm not a model.
Yes.
I need a prop.
Are you still a Starbucks girl or are you an at-home coffee maker?
I'm at home. She influenced my husband and I to get the Breville espresso machine.
Ah,
It's great. It's so and actually I will say I told my husband before he bought it, I was like, I promise you I'm gonna save money. I'm not gonna drink coffee out as much. He's like, yeah, right. But I have.
You
I
have.
made
You
the coffee
saved
way
him
home. I'm like,
money.
you know
Girl
what?
math.
I can make a better latte
Yes.
at home.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, you really can.
easy.
And it's so good. I just do like a vanilla oat milk latte or something, or like
Yes.
cinnamon latte. You know, just something.
Iced or hot? We going
Ooh,
iced or
Right
hot?
now I'm feeling hot, but I
Yeah.
feel like I don't know, I do love iced.
I think Starbucks would be like my last choice if I'm not
Yeah.
getting coffee.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, we can name some local places. I love Valor Coffee.
I do love Valor
It's
Coffee.
like-
Session.
Yeah.
Fellows for the first time.
What the first time?
First time.
That's like
Exactly.
content creation heaven. It's so beautiful. It is so your lane. I love Fellows. I get the usual.
Food was
So
amazing.
good.
Anyway, so they
They have great lattes.
Pretty good drinks.
Rude, you're
Yes,
not
they
taking
do.
your coffee.
The gingerbread latte.
Nathan is like a little bit of a
Coffee
little bit of a
snob?
coffee snob. He's like he goes and orders a cortado, like just black with milk.
Oh, he's serious.
He's a very cool person.
Yes,
Like, from his style.
you both are pretty
Very
cool.
nice.
You guys have
And
to follow
he's
along.
effortlessly cool. Like I have to try. Your parents said you've been this way since you were little.
No,
It's not fair.
Effortlessly cool.
Yeah.
What is the effortless cool thing to do in 25? What are we all? You're the trendsetters, all the
Are we?
influencers. Everybody looks at you.
shoot.
Jen,
Dang it.
you are
We're gonna
gonna
study up.
I feel like you are the trendsetters. I mean, I think every area has their influencers, and I feel like
Yeah.
you guys are the like core influencers in the Atlanta area and New York and really all over the country. What do you see for 25? Maybe let's start with spring. It doesn't have to be the whole thing on social media and in a trend.
Oh boy.
I think you guys handle home and fashion. I think for content creation in general, I think it is going to be that comfort creator. I think
I
your
was gonna
people
say
are
the
going to
same.
find their
Mhm.
person, and it's always weird when somebody tells you that you're their person. That
Yeah,
they're like,
it is.
like people message me and be like, "Hey, I need a link to your baby registry because whatever's on yours, it is going on mine." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh,
'Cause I trust you.
No
No
pressure."
pressure.
Like I know that's what I do, but also,
Yeah.
but I think just finding like those few creators that you genuinely just
Mhm.
you've created that bond with, and I don't know, I think it's gonna be maybe a little bit less, a little bit more of that comfort creator. I think it's gonna be
Yes.
like the trend. And like
I love
mean,
that. I've
in
never
my-
heard of that.
yeah, and in my realm, it's a lot of that. Like what I see performs well. It always takes a lot more time, but it is fun to
course.
do. Is of course is like the vlog style content of like
Oh, that's
people
my, like,
seeing the
favorite
day.
first.
It's
So
it
what,
is
what does
fun.
that mean, vlog style?
So I'm showing
life,
a day in the
right?
life, and it's interesting. One thing that my husband and I started doing because he has his own page and I have mine, but we started doing you can do collab posts on Instagram where both like creators
Yes.
it goes on both our pages. So we've been doing vlogs where like we'll do like a dual voiceover, so it's him and I talking on the voiceover.
That's
so
doing a
entertaining.
vlog, and it's so fun. Like we sit there on the ground just like with the mics, and it's so fun. But we'll basically vlog our like how we get out of the house with 2 kids or what
From,
we're
like,
packing for our
7
trip.
to 11 a.m.
Yeah, or like
Yeah.
what we like how we're like last night we just filmed one actually when the kids went down of like 5 things we do to make our at night to make our mornings easier.
Coming soon to an Instagram.
Coming
near
soon.
you.
I love
that.
that. Coming soon.
But that's like that type of content where it's like it is kind of quick, but it's it's like a minute long and you're just kind of sitting there like watching.
That's entertaining.
Yeah,
It has a
it's fun.
beginning and
It's
an
fun.
end. I like that.
Yes, yeah, and something you can
Okay.
take away from it.
Process.
Yeah, we love a process.
Yes.
Process and a list.
I know.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we're taking our stuff is just more of that vlog content. It's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
too.
I think for home stuff, people are starting to gravitate a little bit more towards like a lived in feel
Mhm.
and their home, not quite as like
Perfect.
everything has to be so perfect.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that started a couple of years ago. I started to see it. It's a little bit part of the trend additional,
Mhm.
but I think it also comes from a place of nostalgia. I think it's a lot of people like craving a feeling that they got when they went to their grandmother's house.
Yes.
In the 90s. Like
Yes.
we always talk about
Yeah.
like how our grandmother made her house feel. We didn't forget that. So
Yes.
people want their house to have a feeling rather than like a perfect look.
Yes.
So I think that's what
A lived in
far as
look.
home stuff is starting to like
I agree with that.
come through a little bit more.
And maybe a little more relaxed living.
Yes.
Like it feels in my world, it's approachable, it's relaxed, it's
warm.
yes.
It's the year of comfort. We just want to be
I
comfortable.
know that's right. Be confident. There's so much coming at us. It's very true. It needs to be a haven. Is
Yeah.
that what you're seeing as well?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a little bit, I feel like for a while, the trends, especially in home, were leaning so much to like a minimalistic style. Like,
Mhm.
let's just get rid of everything. And then
No pillows. I was like, what
Yeah.
world has no pillows?
To me, it felt cold. And I
Yes.
think some of us were like,
It was like the
"There's
Kim
nothing here."
Kardashian look. Yeah.
Why does it feel cold? And you're
Yeah.
like, it feels like you're in a doctor's office.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm like a maximalist, as far as
Right.
like I don't want stuff everywhere, but I also love the idea of things having a purpose. Like, I
Yes.
love like a home that feels really functional. And I think that like, I don't know, that's the kind, like, yes, there are certain things. Like my daughter walked in, she was like, why do we have so many plates hanging on our walls? And I was like, Yes, of course she did. She's hilarious. And I was like, that's a valid question. And I really don't have an answer except that I just love blue and white.
Yes.
And so
It brings me comfort.
Laura and I both love a full look.
we do
Like
love a full look.
whether it's an outfit or
Yes.
like in our homes.
She's
Like we
complete
both
and
love
full, layered.
It's a touch
Layered,
of
yeah.
maximalism,
It
but
is
yeah,
a touch.
layered in our
We
homes
love
and our
that.
outfits.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is something that can transcend from home to fashion, especially, talking about trends or what's coming up or whatever, is that is something that we love. And so that's what makes us feel comfortable.
Yes.
And everybody's going to have a different level of
Yeah.
that. And I
Yes.
think this year is like the year to embrace, like, I'll post an outfit and somebody will be like, are we wearing that now? And I'm like, oh yeah.
Listen, I was sitting in the
did you
hair
not see
chair
that?
and I was looking at your Instagram just because I wanted to kind of look at what you've been doing lately. And Joanna was like, oh, the pleat skirt is so hot right now. And you had it on. And I'm like,
So
she
good.
knows. I mean, she just knows.
But it's like,
But yes.
one girl commented and she was like, I can't think about wearing that because I feel like it's like bringing me back to a private school uniform. And I'm like, that's okay.
That's
That's
okay.
that's
You
your
don't have to.
experience.
I don't feel that way.
Right. I love it.
triggered my sisters with sending them a long denim skirt because they were all homeschooled
Yes.
and I wasn't.
And we were forced to wear long denim skirts after our
I did it on purpose.
I know.
texted all of them. I'm like, are you guys all sweating?
Yeah.
Look at what I
Yes,
have.
can't move.
It's embracing
Yes.
what feels
Yeah.
good
Comforting to you.
It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if somebody else is wearing it. Like it honestly doesn't even matter necessarily if it's a trend. Like take a trend and make it fit you.
Yes.
And just honestly, when I can appreciate so many different styles, even if I wouldn't necessarily wear it, I appreciate it on somebody that owns it.
Yes.
Own what you're wearing, be comfortable in it.
How you
Love your
decorate.
What I
outfit.
love
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you and
Yeah.
your style is I love all the layers. Like I like that
Yeah.
you start off with the jean, the t-shirt,
It's so
concert tee.
interesting that
Then you
do
did the
it.
belt, then it's the blazer, then it's the glasses, and it's like
Yeah.
so good.
And that's where
I
it
love
takes
it.
so much work. Like
I
I
love
see
layers.
videos, I'm like, oh my,
How long
that
did
is
that
so
take?
much work. That's
How long did that
amazing.
take? How long did those reels take? You
Because
are
she
so
has
good.
it in her brain.
Because it
She's
comes
so
naturally.
good. Yes.
That's
Yeah. I'm
That's
like,
the
that's
thing.
good.
It's
It's
like if
so
you asked Anna,
inspiring.
like, how long did it take you to put together ideas for this room? She'd be like, the moment I walked in, I knew the direction that I wanted it to
Yes.
go in. Like, I think when there are certain things that like don't come as naturally to me,
Yeah.
but
Right.
honestly, like I will like lay awake at night thinking about outfits I want to put together.
I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
so cool.
It's
It's such a
fun.
gift, though.
Yes.
I love thinking about, like different layers. I'll put on one belt and I'll be like, this is not it. But as soon as I get it and it
You
is
just-
it,
Oh, it's so
I'm like,
satisfying.
Yeah.
yes, that is it.
And what
That's
I
so
know
fun.
about you as well is you're not just doing it for Instagram, because when I see you out and about or you pop into our store,
100%.
you've got all the things. It's the cute bag, it's the cute belt, it's the cute glasses, it's the blazer, it's the
And she
denim,
has
it's the shoe.
been that way my entire life.
It's
I
like
love that.
it's got to feel good. Like just
It does.
feeling like some days you're in leggings, but when you get dressed, it's a whole expression.
Well, it goes
It
back
is.
to so I love the book of Proverbs in the Bible, and I love Proverbs 31. It's not about a real person. This
Yeah.
is just the idealistic.
Yes, one of
So
my
keep that
favorite.
in mind. She also had a lot of servants. Also need to keep that in mind. But one of the things that it says in Proverbs 31,
Love
it
it.
says she is clothed with strength and dignity,
Dignity.
but she's also clothed in fine linen and purple. And you don't
Mhm.
have to decide between one or the other. Like it can be both.
Yes.
And so I think that I
Yes.
love the idea of like, invest in yourself, take care of yourself. Because
Mhm.
truly, it might sound like it's kind of shallow, but when you like the
Yep.
way that you feel and what you
Look
have
good, feel
on,
good.
we're designed to feel that. way.
Yes.
Like it has been from the very beginning. That's why kings were dressed so incredibly and queens were dressed so beautifully. It's because they saw themselves as royalty. They dressed as such. And people have
Yes.
always loved dressing up,
I love that.
Sense of confidence.
And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it helps with your confidence level. And I think
It does.
especially when in this mode of motherhood, having little kids, having all these demands, whether you're a mother or not, everybody has demands on them. But I think,
Yes.
I don't know. I just feel like you can face the day better. So
Yes.
sometimes people will be like, where are you going in that? And I'm like, the grocery store.
Yeah,
going to Target.
Yes.
Publix will not even know what hit them when they're walking down the produce aisle.
Yes, I'm gonna feel great in the cheese aisle.
Yes.
Yes.
You
Okay.
can bless anybody with your great
Yes.
outfit.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be an event to get dressed up every
That's
day.
how I
Even
feel
if
about
it's
heels.
not-
They're like, why are you always in heels? I'm like, because they just make me
just
feel
feel
like
good.
I'm
Yeah.
dressed today.
Did you hear the click?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The original ASMR is here clicking on hard ones.
Click, click, click.
So to answer your question, an iced vanilla latte.
And yours?
Okay, mine, I actually got it on the way over here. It's
Oh.
a local coffee shop Sessions. I go
Great.
like 3 to 4 times a week. It's my favorite. It's owned by like
I love the
I
cup.
was gonna say that
oh, no,
cup is-
everything there is
No.
beautiful.
What is
Everything
this
there is
place?
beautiful. It's in Marietta, and they're
Right
just the
off downtown.
best.
We must go.
The
What's the
owner-
name of it again?
Sessions.
Sessions.
Yeah, they're just precious people.
love
just
that.
love them. And it's locally owned, and so you just feel like you're supporting your community.
I love that.
But man, they make a mean salted caramel latte.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
now I
so,
wanna go.
so good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
right.
got it hot. But if I wasn't freezing my rear end off, I
Mhm.
would have gotten it iced. I almost always get it iced.
Yes.
But sometimes I'll just be like,
I need hot.
I'll just go in and be like, what's your favorite right now? Just make me something.
Yes,
yummy." And they're like,
last time
"Yeah,
with
I got
Ellen.
you." They're
Yes,
just great.
I
They're
love
precious. They're
that.
beautiful, and I just love it.
So you're both in that area.
What area?
That's our
Marietta?
in-between spot.
Oh,
That's
it
what
is.
I'm
in
saying.
between.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she can come from where she is, and it's like our little,
Yeah.
our little in-between spot.
I have 2 questions and then we're gonna wrap up.
Okay.
To close it, I won't I'm gonna close on faith. So be thinking about that because I know a lot of you faith is important. And how do you do that here? But are y'all making money? That was the number one question is how do you make money on social media? And I'm like, oh, they're making money. So how does it become passion to profit? Like how do you get from this was like as you I think you said you started as a hobby, she started as a career.
Yeah.
How did it become from a hobby to now, fun little passion project to this is profit. This is my income. Me and my husband are doing this. We're supporting our lifestyle.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I almost didn't from the get-go, probably like 8 or 9 years ago. I did not ever want to do it as a job because I loved it so much. And I know my personality, and I knew if it had to pay my bills, I would start to resent it. And I never wanted to resent it because I loved it as a hobby.
Yes.
So I almost didn't want to do it. But then I was like, okay, you can balance the two. Like you can still love it and it can still pay your bills. I never experienced that before. Like
Right.
jobs were things you had to do
Yeah.
to live.
Survive.
to survive.
Yes.
So I was like, this could be possible. Let's try it out. And I think it was probably like 6 years ago, I started getting some brand deals where a brand would reach out to me and say, hey, would you post about this product? I've always been, I know you guys are too, so particular
Yeah.
about, because there are brands who have large budgets and will pay
Yes.
you whatever to post their toilet paper. And I'm like, you have to have a backbone in this because people can see right through it. And also you just
You
like,
wanna
don't
stay
wanna waste
authentic.
people's time.
Yes.
And you also don't want to waste people's money. And so I'm like, if I wouldn't spend my money on it, I will never ask someone else to
Right.
or make them
Yes.
think that I would.
Yes.
So, but this is the new advertising. So
It
where
is.
people used to, an advertising department used to take out a billboard,
Mhm.
say this is going to go on 75 South. We have no idea who it's going to reach, but we know this many people travel down 75 South every day.
Right.
Now they can look at my Instagram and say, wait, so we can promise that this will reach women mostly age 25 to 32. It's 96% women that follow you. It's over 400,000 people. They're located in this place. They're located in these countries, and these are their shopping habits.
So much more
Yeah.
efficient for them.
It's so much more efficient.
win.
It's a much better ad spend for them, but that's what it is. It's brands advertising budgets that they are writing contracts with us and paying us, and we work together.
And you're choosy. It has to fit and suit you.
have to.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people just think you're doing it for the money, and it's not you particularly, but
yeah.
influencers in general.
You can.
And I've thought
Yeah.
that too. Like, do they really like those vitamins, or do they just have a great deal?
Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's why you have to follow people that you trust.
Trust.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, I mean, I've seen people and I've thought this same exact thing, but I think that just goes to like the integrity of the creator.
Yes.
Sometimes there's no way to know that, but you just have to trust
Mhm.
people. And
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, to answer your question on how to turn it into that, I think like for me, so I worked in marketing on the side of booking influencers.
kidding.
And so that's where I kind of learned like how to pitch myself, how to like write out a rate sheet, how to do all this. And in 2020, I lost my job because of COVID. I was like, you know what? I'm seeing how much these influencers are getting paid. I
Yeah.
already do that as a hobby.
Yeah.
Let me try. Nobody's hiring right
That's
now.
so
I was like,
good.
let me try and like do what I'm already doing, but have a business mindset. And I feel like once you turn that business mindset on and you're consistent about it, and
Yeah.
you treat it like a 9 to 5 from the get go, even if you're not making money, that will lead to
Yeah.
creating a profit. I truly believe. If,
yeah,
That's
if you enjoy
amazing.
doing it too, you
Yes.
know, like, but yeah, sometimes it's like, it is like, you have to be so picky. My husband and I have said, like, kind of set the boundary of like, we're not showing our kids faces in any paid advertising. And brands have come to us and been like, hey, like, we'll pay you a great rate, but we have to share your kids. And we're like, no, we're not going to. You have to set those hard boundaries. And
Yes.
same thing of like brands that you don't align with, but it can be tough. Like,
Do you seek
know.
brands out, or is it mostly they seek you out?
So I have an agency.
I was going to ask if you all have
yes.
agencies.
And so
No.
I
You don't- wow.
I did it on my own, but now I have an agency, so they kind of manage my inbox and manage like people reaching out, and then I feel like it's mostly people reaching out to them about me. But then if there's a certain brand that I'm like, oh, I'd love to work with them, then they'll pitch them for me,
Okay.
which is nice.
Yeah, I think people just don't realize how much money is in the industry because it looks effortless. Everybody has an Instagram,
And it's fun.
so anyone
Yeah.
can do it.
Yes.
Yes.
But I mean, like large creators, I'm on the side of TikTok. I'm sure you are
Oh
too.
my
where you
gosh.
see like brands will post like, this is what this person's charging.
Yes.
People are making.
Throw something out there. What are
I'm
they
talking
making?
like large creators over probably several million followers are making like
I was gonna say, oh, I mean, multi-million dollars.
People want to hear about the money. Yeah.
Multi-million dollars.
Unbelievable.
for one video.
For one video.
For one video.
Like there's some stuff that it is crazy, but again, they know the reach that they're gonna get.
We're
They
not
know
the
to
reach.
be
Yeah,
clear.
yeah, it was like, $5 million
Not yet.
video.
Not yet.
You know, but yeah,
Right.
it is. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and I do think like whenever I was on the back end of influencer marketing, like hiring the people, it was obviously a lot less, but that was because people were learning, like the brands were learning how to do it and like
Right.
changing from the billboard and the radio ads that they still had their money in for marketing budgets and now switching it over. So I mean, it's something crazy. My manager told me the other day, she was like, in 2025, it has gone up. It's like over $1 billion in ad money that's like going to be
Yeah.
towards influencer marketing, and it's because they
amazing.
success with it, which is fun. Like we're like, great,
It's
we're doing our
marketing.
job.
That's all
Yeah,
we
like,
see now.
it's marketing. It's-
Yes.
It's advertising.
As I look at Linen Flags and marketing, I'm like, what influencers are aligning with us? It's not
Right.
anything other than an influencer is where I go now.
Yeah.
That's
But
where the
it's cool,
trust
though,
is.
because it's like rather than seeing, an out of touch celebrity that you don't know
No.
at all or don't know
Yes.
if you can trust or whatever,
Yeah.
you literally get to support by consuming it or by, because another way that we would make money besides brand deals would be like affiliate
Mhm.
links. And so if we shared a link to something and someone makes a purchase, it makes no difference for them whether they
Yeah.
purchase.
Yeah.
It's not going to change their price at all, but
Exactly.
we get very small,
Very small.
percentage.
It adds up.
Very small.
But it's
It does add up.
It adds up.
but it's very small percentage.
Are you on LTK? Is that
Yeah.
where you
LTK
basically
shop,
link
yeah.
from?
So,
Okay.
but I just think it's cool. Like I'm big fan of, if somebody's sharing something, I'm like, send me your link.
Yeah, that's how
Yes,
we, yeah,
I
that's
want
how we
that.
shop.
That's
Yeah.
how we shop too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Text Anna and be like, what's your code for
Yes.
whatever? Because I want to support.
Yes.
I want to support somebody. I love the idea of being able to support.
Yes.
Another content creator because I'm so appreciative of people supporting me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if people are doing like a full review on like a stroller that I'm looking at, I'm like,
Right.
oh, thank you for putting the
Thank
time,
you.
buying that, like doing all this, and now I'm gonna go use your link and also get it.
Yeah.
It's just so it's helpul as
Yeah.
a consumer. of
Yes.
content, too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you have a dream brand you'd like to work with?
Ralph Lauren, call me.
I could totally see
Yeah,
it.
that's giving Ralph Lauren vibes.
I could totally that have to happen.
It has to happen.
Oh my
We're
God.
putting it out there.
I'll take home. I'll take fashion. Either way.
Manifesting. Yes.
love it.
Yes. It's
You don't have
perfect.
to send me pro-
Ralph Lauren.
You already have all of it.
Yes.
What about you? Do you have a dream brand, fashion?
I got to work with Anthropologie in December, and that was kind of a dream come true. That
Yes.
was really fun.
That's
They're
pretty
just
cool.
like a great. You would think that they would be like,
Oh, they're
I don't know,
wonderful.
like a big deal, but and a lot of brands are not very fun to work with. Like there's certain brands that I've worked with once, and I'd be like, nope,
Nope.
not again. But the Anthropologie team is just great.
That's
They're
awesome.
so
That's a
kind,
big
and they're
deal.
just like
Yeah.
really, you've worked with them a lot. They're down to earth. They're sweet.
They're great people.
Yes.
And so I loved working with Anthropologie. That was a
Mhm.
total dream. Nothing's coming to mind at the moment, but it will as soon as I leave.
I'm seeing
Yeah,
like
of course.
Celine.
Oh,
I'm going big.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going big because you just do it so well. That's one of my favorite brands right now. I love.
I do love Celine.
You
but
wear it well.
yes.
What about you? Dream
I
brand.
think for me, it'd be almost a dream project. Like I want to create a product or like design something with one that comes to mind is I'm I'm in my baby wearing era.
Of course.
Carrier. And
Great
yeah,
idea.
I've been talking to them. I'm like, hey, so would you be interested of like me creating a carrier, like just designing it and
Yes.
that? Like that would be such a
Collaboration.
dream. Yeah, because it's a product I already love, but having it kind of like
Yes.
make it my own and for my followers.
And
that
making
would
it
be-
pretty.
yeah,
Yes,
that'd
because
be
they're not pretty.
Yeah. Well, they make really pretty ones. That's why.
Oh, they are now?
Yes,
Okay.
So
It's
the
come a long
brand,
way.
yeah, it's called Maybe, and their carriers are so beautiful. And I'm like, okay, wait, I want in on that. Like, I want to make one too.
Yeah.
I want my own.
I love that.
So
Some of those
Something
kinds of
like that.
projects are really
Yeah,
exciting.
something like
to think about,
that.
too. And a lot of
Yeah.
people are doing that nowadays. I
Mhm,
think
the
like
collaboration.
creating a line, like even like with brands that I already work with, like you're talking
Mhm.
about, like
Yeah.
something with like Walmart or Nordstrom, like just
Yep.
a line where you already love it, but you could kind of like put a little bit of your skin
Yes.
on it.
Cool.
And the
Creating.
audience loves that too
Like,
because they love
I
your
agree.
stuff already, and they're like, "Wait, I want a piece of that collection." Like,
Yes.
you know, I've been here since the beginning. Like, I want to.
Are you here to stay? Are influencers here to stay?
I'd say the $1 billion thing.
I'm like, we're here.
I feel like Instagram's here to stay.
Yes.
And everybody was like, you gotta get an email because you could lose this one day. I don't think it's going anywhere.
I don't think so.
And
Yeah.
if it does, like if TikTok,
There'll be another
for example,
platform.
goes away, there's going to be something else. I think
Yes.
that's the thing is this is the new way of marketing, and whether it
Mhm.
is Instagram or TikTok or something completely brand new,
Yeah.
the marketers are going to put money
Yes.
into it.
Also, like for anyone wanting to start, there's always room at the table.
Yes.
I love,
Yes.
let's close with that.
Yeah.
Like, room at
It's
the
not
table.
too late to start. Like I feel like it's a new industry. Like if you think about how old industries are, like this is like
It's
15
new.
years old.
Yes.
It's still
So
relatively
new.
so new. So there's just room for everybody.
Yes.
It's not too late to start it.
And would you encourage it?
I think yes. I think
I think
was
about my
gonna
daughter,
say-
and
I
sometimes I'm
was
like,
gonna
you should
say-
totally do this, and then sometimes I'm like, just
I
don't
feel
ever.
like with the right grounding and with the
Yes.
right boundaries, like go into it with a
Yes.
good mindset.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a huge blessing for us. Like it's
Yeah.
mine and my husband's full-time job. It's supported our family. We got to live in New York. We
Done
live
really
here now.
well.
Like
Yes.
it's been
experiences, yeah.
amazing.
You're doing
so
what-
I would say,
we're doing
and
what we
we do what
love.
we love.
Doing what you love. There's nothing
Yeah.
better. It's
There's
like you
nothing
never
better.
work
I didn't
another
think
day
that
in
was
life.
possible. I had never seen
Yeah.
that. Like we'd never seen
Yeah.
that really
Yeah.
growing up. So it's like
It's
seeing
new
that
for our
too, it's
generation.
Like
Yeah.
okay, that's possible.
Well, you all started it.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's weird.
it's wild. Well, I hope you follow along with all these ladies. Again, there is room at the table. If you've ever considered being an influencer, maybe you're just starting out and you're just like, I don't know, where do I find value? How do I build my community? Reach out, DM them, follow them, watch them. They are leaders in this industry, and it's a growing industry. As we learned today, I think it's the $1 billion industry. It's a business.
It is.
Well done, ladies. You are fantastic in your trade and in your era, and trendsetters. Follow along and they'll keep you on top of everything fashion, home, and family. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
And
you.
we'll
Thanks
see
for
you
having us.
next week at Chatting with Chaz. Thanks for joining and having coffee with us and chatting.